feeling like I'm academics.
I'm lost over certain things because I'm on the phone and things like that. But I do want to show y'all. There's some more footage and like pictures of like how major the raid was. So they blocked off entrance apparently to the island, right? Or they were either monitoring a possible exit. Remember I told you about Star Island. There's only one way in, one way out, right? Star Island, you look at it here. This is the road that connects it right here. I'm sorry. This road right here connects it. So they blocked it off over here to make sure that, say, people were trying to flee, you couldn't really do that, right? There's some more shit here. Give me a second. So that's where they blocked off. And then now it's saying Uncle Sam sent the cavalry for the operation because not only were the boots on the ground, but there was a chopper as well. So they had it. It wasn't only media in the sky. Apparently, this was a airplane that belonged to the feds or probably some type of local government helping. Then they said when any army of law enforcement, when an army of law enforcement swarmed Diddy's house, the Miami grounds were just as infiltrated, although it looks like the raid was a little bit more low-key, as Star Island is quite literally sectioned off from the public, so less gawkers. So it looked like they showed up on boats too, I guess. Here we go. Holy shit. There's something going on. They just they rushed this nigga's house by sea, land, and air. Like, God damn it. If they're running down on you by sea, land, and air, you're fucked.
Guilty by association.
Is that like Coast Guard right here? I see like a little siren. You see that? Right here?
Guilty by association.
But over here, you can see people in bulletproof vests. These look like agents. Holy shit. Wow. Crazy operation. I had said this operation cost at least $100,000. I think I severely underscored it. I think this operation cost at least like $500,000. There's so many things, so many people to mobilize. They stayed there so long. They brought out like a mobile headquarters to set up shop outside the house for quicker processing. I think this is a huge fucking deal. And that's just the raid. Now we're going to have to deal with, they're going to get information from the house and they're going to have to watch hours, if not days full of footage to see if anything would probably help. And who knows how long the footage that was recorded at the house lasts for. Maybe it lasts for only like 3 days, a week, 2 weeks. Maybe it lasts for a month, or maybe it lasts for years, which obviously that's what they would want, right? Let me see what it says.
Diddy a lot.
It was Puff Daddy was like, yeah, we want you to come and be in this video. I ain't on every scene. You feel me?
Right.
I just vibe with my folks. So when people call up all the time, like, yo, come be in the video and all that, I don't just be.
You don't be pulling up unless you want. Yeah.
Nah,
did you party with Diddy a lot?
Oh no, not really. I would go to the party and leave early.
Why wouldn't you stay late?
I go to the party and leave early. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Well, I wasn't invited to too many of those parties.
Why didn't you stay late, like after hours? Did it get crazy after that, or what?
I don't know what goes on after hours, but
he wasn't trying to find out.
I wasn't trying to find out. I know my place. I know my place.
Yeah.
So I went to a couple. New Year's Eve parties.
Right.
I mean, I know Puff before Puff became super big like that. He a cool dude. I mean, all the shit going on with him. I feel sorry for him and his family, more so his kids.
His kids, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, right.
People got kids.
Okay. Going back to what he said, and then we'll get to what Mace said afterwards. But this is the ending of Uncle Luke speaking about, and he said this today, about nobody really saying shit.
When you sleep and shit. And then, don't they raid your house? And they have a search warrant and they have something, they want to lock you up? That's kind of interesting to me. All the guns and the tanks and shit for some cell phones. I know I'm from the hood. And I know, boy, Back in the days, you were doing some wild shit, then you had to worry about them people coming at night, at early in the morning. You know what I'm saying? They come while your ass sleep, and then they come and get you. Because they want to have a conversation with you. Even in the movies. Even in the fucking movies, they raid at night. Broad daylight, 12 o'clock in the daytime. I'm going through a lot of documents in this garage. See, I keep all the documents. All the documents. You never know when you need them. Especially the release forms. See, the difference is...
Wow. You see how serious this situation is, like, and I'm pretty sure he's not gonna say it, but I think Uncle Luke, he's kind of realizing, a lot of the fun. Keep in mind, all of this shit is happening while recently Hulu just released a Freaknik documentary. You get what I mean? Which is kind of like, glorifying but kind of showing some of the problematic, maybe behavior of what was considered fun in the 90s or 80s going forward. But it looked like now, when it comes to like Diddy, people are saying, oh, well, some of the fun or what y'all were doing in freak offs, hey, the police gonna look at that. And I think this is one of the reasons why Uncle Luke is like, shit, he was the wild guy. He's like, shit, I got my releases. Let me make sure I still got them bitches in case they try to come for me.
I used to let me just say this, right? If there was anybody hurt or anybody violated or anybody treated any type of way or by anybody in any of them situations, that shit go to court and it comes out, and if your ass did something wrong, then your ass need to go to jail. Right? I'm a firm believer of that because, everybody got daughters. Ain't nobody want nobody violating their daughter. But at the same time, we have to understand that.
Okay, I'm gonna go briefly to so the prosecutor that operated on the R. Kelly case. We're gonna play the R. Kelly audio with Wack shortly, but the prosecutor that operated on that case, they actually did an interview and they're comparing what's going on with Diddy to R. Kelly. Look,
is being modeled on the investigation that brought down music superstar R. Kelly almost 2 years ago. And in that case, the federal government used allegations that were made in civil lawsuits against R. Kelly to bring criminal charges. Nadia Shiah was one of the prosecutors who got R. Kelly convicted of sex trafficking. She's now a defense attorney and happens to be here with me live. Nadia, thank you so much for stepping in. So first of all, your reaction to the news you're seeing, to the two raids, all of the material that I've just provided prior to you coming on, and the news that the feds are modeling this case after your case.
Yeah, I mean, it's big news. Obviously, taking an overt step in an investigation of searching two homes means the investigation is well underway here. They've clearly have probable cause to believe a federal crime has been committed and that evidence of that crime or multiple crimes would be found in the two locations that they searched. So this is big news. And if I'm P. Diddy or his lawyers, I'd be very concerned at this point.
The biggest concern, as I understand it, and check me if I'm wrong here, is that when people sign non-disclosure agreements, as may have happened in P. Diddy's world, and in big celebrities' world, it happens all the time. That's that, right? Doesn't matter if you file a civil lawsuit. But when the feds come knocking, NDAs mean nothing. Is that what you found in the prosecution of R. Kelly? All of these lawsuits and these accusers or people who may have been covered by NDAs, the floodgates were open and they could tell you everything, AKA, is that possibly happening here?
That may well be happening here. An NDA, when push comes to shove, is not going to trump a grand jury subpoena or a federal agent.
and by the way, usually most NDAs actually say you can't tell your friend what happens here, but if you are instructed legally and lawfully by a court, you can. So most NDAs will actually tell, if they want to inform the person signing of their rights, they're going to tell them, yeah, this NDA means nothing once the cops come. Like, yeah, this only means you can't tell your friend and go gossip on social media, talk a bunch of shit, but otherwise,
or prosecutor asking you questions, but I wouldn't say that they have no effect. NDAs can make people very reluctant and hesitant to speak to law enforcement. So if it's someone that law enforcement is not already aware of, they may be wary to, themselves contact law enforcement to provide information. And so they can still deter people in that sense.
But once they know they're safe, they can speak, which I think is always, well, it's a concern if you're the target. And we are told that Diddy is indeed the target of this investigation. Nadia Shiah, thank you so much for being on. I'll call you again.
Okay, so
Thank you.
Let me go through two things really quickly. So,
Thank you for watching.
Sorry.
Go to news.
So let me kind of look at what the law is. So essentially, and again, we're kind of assuming here, but we're trying to like play this out and trying to get as much information as possible. If we're going to think about what Diddy is probably facing, the most applicable laws that would probably come into play that federally they would be looking at him for is either sex trafficking or human trafficking, right? So we're going to look at what legally that's defined as. Obviously, they're going to probably try to trump it up with some additional charges of if they found drug possession, and maybe like weapons possession. But those things, even though those are still serious, because we do know like if you get caught with a gun, an illegal gun, or if you're a felon, which I don't know if Diddy is, but those could have years in jail consequences too. But the main thing that would be it's over. It would be clearly human trafficking or sex trafficking. Actually, let's actually even look up the R. Kelly case real quick. R. Kelly found guilty. What exactly did he get found guilty of? He faced allegations of sexual abuse. The accounts went back to his start of career, blah, blah. He was jailed for 30 years after being found guilty of 8 counts of sex trafficking. Okay. So it's sex trafficking and 1 count of racketeering. Was that in a federal court? Was that in a federal court? I know he was actually charged. In Chicago.
After sentencing supporters of R. Kelly shot.
Okay. A judge sentenced him to yeah, a 20-year. Okay, yeah, so the Northern District of Illinois actually did this one, and then there was a state case, I believe, in New York, consecutive to his New York sentence. They say he's a sexual predator who uses fame and wealth to abuse victims and show no remorse. Oh, wow. Okay. This was a very interesting thing. What was the racketeering? So if we're just going, like, we're just trying to be smart with this, like, it looks like they're looking at him for sex trafficking. We're going to look up the law for that in a second. Racketeering. Why was it racketeering though? Well, I guess they're saying he created a criminal enterprise of how he was procuring these women and moving them around. That's the enterprise. Actually, I just kind of like fucking answered my own question, which that's good. Let me just watch a little thing of this.
Trafficking, and you might hear racketeering and think, isn't that for mafia bosses?
Okay.
But this was part of a unique strategy on the part of federal prosecutors.
Yeah, see, that's what, the federal prosecutors do something different. That's why they get all the gangs. Because once they say you have built an organization, which means you have a systematic way of doing a crime, and you have people, places, and money involved. As long as there's a crime being committed, that is kind of racketeering, right? Now, obviously, you use it at the highest level. Well, let me not say the highest level. You use it at levels for like a mafia or like the mob, right? When they have an organization of moving drugs and punishing people or killing people or ordering murders, but you can't get the guys who's pulling the trigger when they're the power players. So you get them with a RICO charge because they're making they're calling the shots. They're just not pulling the trigger, right? But they use a racketeering charge to get Kelly. Damn.
To introduce sexual assault allegations that were well outside the statute of limitations. And at the center of this case, Lester, was the story of Aaliyah, a pop singer who many people know died tragically in a plane crash in 2001. According to testimony, she met R. Kelly when she was just 12 years old. A witness, a compelling witness for the prosecution, said that she actually walked in on R. Kelly performing a sex act with Aaliyah when she was either 13 or 14 years old. We then heard from one of his employees that at the age of 15, he bribed an official in Illinois to get a...
Okay, all right. Wow, okay. So let's look at the federal law when it comes to sex trafficking. It says sex trafficking is recruitment harboring, transportation, provision, obtaining, patronizing, or soliciting of a person for the purposes of a commercial sex act, in which the commercial sex act is induced by force, fraud, coercion, or in which the person is induced to perform such an act that has not attained 18 years of age. Okay, so the first part is clearly sex trafficking would occur if, or you would imagine that it would apply here if they're searching two different places in two different states, right? And Diddy constantly moves between both. For example, with Cassie had stories about New York, also LA, right? So you know he was flying her all over the place. That would be transportation. So we check this box. The next box is where the commercial sex act, and we probably got to get a definition of what commercial sex act means. But anyway, it says in which the commercial sex act is induced by force. Now, according to Cassie, she felt, she was forced, maybe not physically, but she was under force and under duress to basically do these things to please him. And just by nature of the fact that he controlled not only all her finances, he controlled her life. Even her medical records was going to him before she could get access to it. And then apparently when she tried to leave, he would send people around her to kind of induce her, kind of put some fear in her that she could kind of act right. So this would kind of come down to sex trafficking. You get what I mean? Now, here's the thing about it. The sex trafficking is going to, I would imagine they were trying to get, if they do bring charges against Diddy, they want it to be so overwhelming, he's fucked. So they're going to say, okay, we're going to bring multiple counts. Cassie, that's one count against Mrs. Ventura. The 17-year-old at the time, I don't know her name now, she would be one count. Lil Rod, if that was a thing, that would be a count. Other people, and I got to imagine that they've done their due diligence and interviewed people. You know what struck me, which I didn't talk about last time, right? So Cassie Lawyer spoke, and I got to think that the lawyer spoke with the permission of Cassie, right? It says Cassie's lawyer called out Sean Diddy Combs' depraved conduct after Homeland Security raided two of his homes. This is what Cassie's lawyer said. We will always support, and notice it says we will always support law enforcement when it seeks to prosecute those that have violated the law. Now, what this tells me is that this lawyer probably walked Cassie into some type of meeting with the feds, and Cassie probably is going to be testifying against Diddy. Or Cassie has provided information that could help this investigation, maybe trying to verify what does she have, what she left out of the lawsuit, maybe tapes that, remember she constantly said Diddy would show her tapes to embarrass her, to be like, hey, remember you fucking all these niggas? You get what I'm saying? So, who knows? Perhaps, it's not even perhaps, Cassie's going to be cooperating, clearly. If they're commenting on this, who the hell would the cops want to talk to and get as a witness more than Cassie? Which, by the way, Cassie has literally taken down Diddy. And again, I'm not saying it's not Diddy's fault or whatever, but still, imagine this finesse. You get paid by the motherfucker, and you probably signed NDAs, right? Remember, she signed NDAs back in the day, probably. But then she sued, right? And Diddy paid her off and probably had her sign new NDAs that she can't file again, she can't write a book, she can't do this, she can't do that. And now she gets to legally break the NDA once again by cooperating with the government to get Diddy locked up. Cassie, I don't know what did. Well, obviously, I was going to say I don't know what Diddy did to Cassie, but clearly we know. But Cassie is the person who's going to sink Diddy. Imagine getting paid $50 million or $30 million, whatever that number is, and then working with the cops to send that nigga to jail. Cassie won. Got paid and still going to get quote-unquote justice, right? Damn, that's crazy. So Cassie's lawyer celebrated Diddy's homes being raided. Yeah, that sounds like a lawyer who's been working with her client beyond the settlement that Diddy gave, working with her client to deal with the feds in making sure, because here's the thing too, and there's a lot of muddy waters when you're dealing with the federal authorities, especially in a situation like this. Remember, according to Cassie was helping to procure these escorts. She was the one searching for, hey, I'm looking for the nigga with the biggest dick in town, big black dick or whatever Diddy told her to do. I could imagine maybe she has signed some type of proffer agreement, signed some type of immunity agreement that she doesn't get charged, right? Now, granted, she's a victim of some sorts, but if there are other victims, they might have felt that Cassie facilitated them being victimized. Do you get what I'm saying? So Cassie, I do believe, probably spoke to the feds, probably, with her lawyer, says, hey, we'll cooperate whatever you need. We probably got some extra shit we could give you and you could lock up Diddy, but we got to make sure that Cassie is number one, always seen as a victim, because she is a victim. And the understanding of law enforcement is that anything that you're talking about with her that she might have admitted that she done was done under duress and done at the force, right? Or the fear of threat from Sean Puffy Combs. Do you get what I'm saying? Wow. That's some shit. Okay, so actually I got some new documents here. And by the way, it's getting interesting because there's so many moving parts, and I think some people just don't want to be involved. And you're getting to realize that, number one, this ain't the streets. A lot of these people have either careers or families. There's nobody trying to stand with a fucking sexual deviant. Everybody's quickly trying to say, hey, get me out of the lawsuit, get me out of this. And they're down to put out statements, or they're down to just say, man, I'll tell you whatever you want to know. I don't know too much, but I'll tell you whatever you want to know about Diddy. I'll tell you about someone who's doing that shortly. But before we get to that, this is a sample of Diddy's. Hold on, give me 1 second. Is it this? Okay, this is a sample of Diddy's NDA. This is a standard NDA for Diddy. Okay, so it's a standard Combs NDA. Check this out. The confidentiality agreement is made effective Friday, blah, 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 on behalf of you. The term you shall include you, your estate, each corporation, and or business entity in which you have ownership or beneficial interest, and any and all persons or entities owned and controlled by you or such businesses. Example, affiliates, officers, directors, managers, accountants, and agents, and all of your respective heirs, executors, representatives, administrators, employees, licensees, successors, and assigns. Okay, all right. Now it says Sean Diddy Combs' privacy is highly valued, and all efforts will be made to maintain confidentiality with respect to all information and all material of any kind, and other material of any kind, including without limitation the terms, conditions, and existence of this agreement. So basically, the first thing they want you to know is even this agreement is going to be protected. So this agreement is, you shouldn't let people know you signed the NDA, right? So this should be secret. Concerning or related to directly to blah, blah, blah. Okay, I'm not trying to read every single thing. I'm trying to get to meat and potatoes. Okay, so it says, so pretty much it says this NDA also protects anyone related or affiliated and or indirectly the artist or any person, corporation, associated with the artist, personally or professionally, including without limitation, family members, relatives, past or present, fiancés, husbands, wives, boyfriends, girlfriends. Now we know Diddy's never been married to a man, but I think they're just putting everything. Boyfriends, girlfriends, friends, and business associates. Oh, and I guess it means husbands of people associated with Diddy. So it's covering everybody who Diddy knows, okay? All right. You shall not upon a time disclose directly or indirectly to anyone the following information, any information acquired to you by the manner or medium or by any means whatsoever in a time, Okay. You can't talk about the financial affairs or personal life and all such artist business activities, entertainment activities, financial affairs, or personal life, and all such information shall be deemed confidential, private, secret, and sensitive, and kept by you as confidential information. Wait, I keep reading the same line. I'm sorry. Unless artist otherwise advises you in writing. in artist's soul's discretion. So only Diddy could give you permission, but he has to give you permission in writing, not verbally. Because people could be like, oh, no, Diddy had told me I could say this. No. You need it in writing or else you could be sued. B, any and all information described in paragraph 1A include without limitation pictures, recordings, records, documents, property, merchandise, and other information related to artists and their personal, professional, or any other activities. Okay. C, without limiting foregoing, without artists prior, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Any sound, lightness, activities. Okay. So pretty much this is like an ironclad, like, NDA, which means, you come to his house, you go to his office, you go around him. Please do not say nothing about nothing. You know what I mean? Okay, give me 1 second. Give me 1 second, Chad. Okay, look. All right. Okay, cool. All right. Yeah, this is so long and boring. I'm not going to read through it. But basically, this is like an ironclad NDA, which means you can't talk about anything. Let me see if it in some NDAs, it might tell you what the penalties are if you do break it. The agreement of this term to keep all information confidential and not use prohibited material shall commence on the first date above and continue for the life of the artist. So it lasts until Diddy's dead, plus 20 years, or 70 years from now, whichever is longer, right? Damn, okay. I see something about videotapes. You can't distribute photographs, videotapes, film, audio tapes, nothing. Okay. You sign that, you're not being forced to sign it, which I think anytime someone's trying to break an NDA, they usually make the point that I wasn't signing it, like, willingly. Okay. Yeah, it doesn't necessarily say. Sometimes it'll have, like, penalties if you do break it. But anyway, okay. That's just a Diddy NDA right there, okay? I don't want to get into the minute details of it, but it's clearly long, boring, and pretty much makes that nobody could ever say nothing about Diddy, period. Anyway, Mace has spoken about, this whole situation. And if you don't know, Mace was a Bad Boy artist for a long time, and he worked close with Diddy, and then they kind of fell out. He went to the church, and, obviously his opinion about this whole thing was obviously wanted or needed by the fans who are interested in people who used to be around Diddy and what they know or what they think. This is how he spoke about it.
Man, how you doing?
Killer, I'm doing good, man. Reparations is getting closer and closer. I'll be sure to give you your percentage.
I ain't had nothing to do with that money. That's all yours, man. I was on the next boat. Yeah, man.
Oh, man.
Closer and closer,
Closer
man.
and closer. Okay. The big payback.
This has been the last year. Has really kind of been the big payback for you, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Okay. You kind of last week. You went Destiny.
Yeah.
You went Destiny. You know what happened yesterday, right?
Yeah, man. That's what I'm trying to say. It's going crazy.
What happened?
I'm gonna let you start. What did you see that happen?
What's up, man? How you doing? Man. I was on the next boat. Yeah, man.
Oh, man.
Closer and closer.
Closer
Man.
and closer. Okay. The big payback.
This has been the last year. Has really kind of been the big payback for you, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Okay. By the way, Gina, thank you. I did turn the mic up.
You kind of last week. You went Destiny Life After Death, and it was also the Diplomat Immunity album 21st anniversary. Shit going on. Shit's going on around. Yeah, man. I was just saying this. Yesterday was kind of
That's eerie, man.
Yeah, that's the word I'm looking for. It was just
Yeah, that was crazy.
That's kind of crazy, man. I had no idea that, the internet lets you know, because I don't be knowing these dates for my albums or other people's albums, but they will remind you, man.
Yeah.
That's all you seen?
In a lot.
Well, that's what I seen. That's what I
I
always
seen helicopters, all kind of stuff.
Okay.
It's a lot of things.
Yeah.
Life after death.
Yeah. Anyway, I definitely want to say, and by the way, so we're gonna pull up some of the information about, and all this. There hasn't been any affidavits filed, criminally yet. Once it'll be publicly unless it's sealed, which I can imagine certain things, for example, like the search warrant is sealed right now. But when actual criminal affidavits are filed, we will definitely pull those. What did happen in the last couple of days is that there's been an amendment to the affidavit, or actually the civil lawsuit that was filed by Lil Rod. And this amendment gives more details to what's being alleged, that how Diddy operates, how other people facilitate. And again, if I could imagine the feds are probably trying to talk to Lil Rod, it also then says that there is somebody cooperating, but it's not cooperating on a criminal level. And because I've seen people incorrectly speak about that, there is nobody officially cooperating on a criminal level. We could assume Cassie. We don't have confirmations, Cassie. But what happened is that in this criminal lawsuit, not criminal, I mean civil lawsuit that Lil Rod filed, you had an executive who essentially gave a statement to get her name out of the lawsuit. So there's someone named Ethiopia who used to run, what's the name of that? Used to run Motown. I think they probably still do run Motown. Like, they were very helpful with QC, becoming what it was. And they were under the Capitol umbrella. They were included in this lawsuit, and they got actually taken out.